Welcome to Chance Fox Media Podcast, where we discuss real stories, leadership, businesses, and the ideas that are shaping our future. I'm your host, Chance Alia. Today, I have come up with a history. Yeah, I thought it was like this is important for us to discuss. It's going to be concerning about Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. You see, but the main issue why I bring this topic up because I want to talk about Malawi and why Malawi uh, is at this stage economically. See why Malawi is facing some of these challenges. So, for as we know, for you to solve a problem, you have to find uh, the root cause of it. Why you are facing such kind of problems. So if you find out that this problem is coming from here, then you know how you can solve it. But if you don't know where this problem is coming from, it's very, very hard to solve that problem. But we usually start where the problem is coming from. How did it reach here? So we trace the roots, then we go where was the problem. So from there is when we start solving from there, coming, coming, until we reach where we are. So that is the first thing that I just wanted to put outside there that everyone have to know, every Malawian actually have to know that why are we at this problem right now? Why we are at this stage? How did we reach at this stage? What was the main problem? What was the cause of it? Some we are even asking ourselves like, are we cursed? Are we operating under a curse? You see, so all these questions we do ask for ourselves due to the situation that we are going through. Some that seems like not normal, so we end up asking like, there's something that is really, really wrong here that us we don't know. So we have to try to figure it out on how we can solve some of this problem. You see, so because of that, I do my own research that I usually do, but I found out that some of these problems it started like 50 years ago. Remember, Malawi before they get independence, Malawi they were under federation, and this federation was called Rhodesia and Nyasaland. You see, this federation it started in 1953 to 1963. It started in 1953 and it ended to up to 1963. So Malawi, and this federation was combined by Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. You see, so and this federation it was officially called Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. You see, joined by Southern Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, Northern Rhodesia, which is now Zambia, and Nyasaland, which is now Malawi. So all these three countries, they were one country. And it lasted only for 10 years. Why did it last only for 10 years? It lasted for 10 years because there was political conflict, especially in Nyasaland. Now it's called Malawi, especially in Nyasaland and Northern Rhodesia. See, and one more to say, as I say, this topic is tense and it's too much. Because of that, I decided to put it on the notes. So if I see like I'm missing, I'll be able to. I have to open my phone to check it, like the way where I write it. So it lasted only 10 years because of deep tension, deep political conflict, especially in Malawi, which was Nyasaland and Northern Rhodesia. And yeah, so this is where there were some problems, you know. But even though these problems were there, you know, even though these problems were there, but this federation was still going. So our title for the main topic for us today is like why why um, Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland was broken. That is one of that is the topic, and why the first president, Dr. Kamuzu, decided uh, actually was deciding to leave Rhodesia and Nyasaland. You see, so this issue that we are dealing here is history. So we are going to be taking step by step, because I have to remember as well. You know? Yeah. So the question is why? Since we say there was a conflict, some political conflict, but before we get there, we have to know that who created this Rhodesia. Rhodesia, I write it like here. You have to ah yeah. So this was like, let me just read it direct from where I write. So Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. It was a political it was a political federation created by United Kingdom in 1953, as I said. Then the question that we might ask is that, and before I ask this question, and as I said again, why, how many, how many nations were involved in this federation? So we can say that we know now that this federation was involved three countries. So it was joined by three countries: Southern Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe; Northern Rhodesia, which is Zambia; and Nyasaland, which is Malawi. You see, but why it only lasted for 10 years? It lasted for 10 years because uh, there was too much political conflict, you know, within the federation. And who were making this conflict? The people who were making this conflict were the Africans, like the African in Nyasaland and in Northern Rhodesia. And yeah, and Northern Rhodesia. These are the ones that they were they were making a lot of they were opposing it. You know, they were opposing. So before I get here, so why was Rhodesia and Nyasaland broken? This is the question, and this is the topic for us today. I was making so I can be online. See, can be on at a straight line. Yeah. Why was it broken up within 10 years? That is the question. The first answer on this, like the way I write it, the way I say, like since they say uh, Northern Rhodesia was broken due to conflict within, especially in the African in Nyasaland and Northern Rhodesia. So I can say that one of the reasons why Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland was broken is because of African consent. I can say that. I think just to put it, African did not consent it. African did not consent it. What I can say in maybe in a simple English, I can say, um, like people in Nyasaland, which is now Malawi, and people in um, northern Rhodesia, which is now Zambia. They did not agree to it. So it was something that were just imposed. So they were not happy with it. And why they were not happy with it, since they opposed, they put on them why they were not happy with it. I also liked it. It's too much. Yeah. Many Africans, if I say Africans, it's people from Nyasaland and the northern Rhodesia. Especially in Nyasaland. Especially in Nyasaland, they felt the federation was imposed by Britain, which I already said this thing was started in the United Kingdom, was imposed by Britain without their agreement. I said that. So they imposed it on them by Britain without their agreement. They didn't agree to it. Something that they just decided and opposed it and put it on them without their consent. So people feared that it would place them under a political and economic domination by the minority. Before here, I think for us to understand here better, the thing that we have to know that, you know, Britain, United Kingdom, they colonized southern Rhodesia, not southern part of most South Africa. Actually, all of this from Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe to be colonized. Those people who were colonizing Malawi, they were the white people from Britain. That why they were based in South Africa. So South Africa, those whites, those Britain, those United Kingdom people, those white people, they were based here in South Africa at their home. So at their home they started expanding because there were many here. So they were trying on how they can share the government, and also based on the resources that they wanted. So because of that, you find that they decided that let South Africa be the head, be the head, second, let me say like the second Britain, like the second United Kingdom here in this continent. So they stay here. They were based here in South Africa at their home. So they decided to expand from here in South Africa to go to other locations. They will just share power because Britain, they shared the power with those whites who were here in Africa that were based in South Africa. So these whites that were here in South Africa, they also decided to share the power to those other whites who want to expand, to explore. So those one who wanted to expand, most of them, they also rushed to the neighbor country. They didn't just rush there because there was also a lot of gold and diamond in Zimbabwe, which was called Southern Rhodesia. So all of them, they decided because South Africa is rich with minerals everywhere, and it's like there's already the people who are leading it, who are controlling it. So those white people who felt like they also need something that they can control, they were sent to Zimbabwe, like Southern Rhodesia. And this government that was already formed in SA by the whites, they promised their friend that if you go to Zimbabwe or to Southern Rhodesia, we'll be there to support you. Like the way a United Kingdom government was supporting these people, white people here in SA. So United Kingdom, they were supporting these white people here in SA, in South Africa. And these white people, this government that was formed here in South Africa, they were also supporting the white people who are in Zimbabwe. So these ones, they were sent to Zimbabwe to control that. So most white people, they went to Zimbabwe. Those ones who were in Zimbabwe now, that's the one now, they started expanding as well to go to Zimbabwe, to Zambia and Malawi. And those white people who were there in Zimbabwe, they was the one now, they started thinking of making the federation. And this federation didn't just come up. It was something that actually the decision was made by the United Kingdom because they were connected. They were just one people. So all of them, of course, the head was here in SA, but all of them connected to United Kingdom. So because of that, they see like, okay, now South Africa is where we're extracting minerals because it's where they find a lot of minerals. By then the other part, it was Zimbabwe, which was southern Rhodesia. It was also having a lot of minerals by then, according to what they find by then. You see, so they decided from there as they were expanding, they also find northern Rhodesia, which is Zambia, also how they find the copper. So they thought like, okay, for us to control this, it means this northern Rhodesia, there's some minerals, copper. Here there's diamond and gold. Then here in South SA, every mineral that they were looking, they find here in SA. You see, so with this, how are they going to eat? So they find like, okay, let us make like Zimbabwe, uh, and the Zambia, which is okay, southern Rhodesia and northern Rhodesia. Let us make this as industrial areas. Where we'll be instructing there, where the mining industry. So let us make these areas, all these countries as a I don't know, like let us industrialize it. So if we are industrializing this, then where are we? It means now they were making decision like we are going to industrialize and create wealth in this, like to develop these areas. So where are we gonna get people who are going to be working on this? It's when they also decided to get Nyasaland, because Nyasaland by then they didn't find any minerals, but the only thing that they like it most because the fertile, the soil was so fertile. You see, and for them to live there in Nyasaland, the environment was not good for them because there was too much mosquitoes and too hot. So the environment was not suitable for them. So yeah, this is how they take southern Rhodesia, northern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland and combine it. They also decided, how are we going to control all this? Then we have to make it as one country. So this is how they come up with creating the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. So on this Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland, let me just get back to this. So I'm getting back to my point, So since these people now in the southern Rhodesia, they decided like they tell their in UK, they told the Queen Elizabeth, they told the United Kingdom government that now we have two governments here in Africa, which number one is the one that is based here in South Africa, and number two is the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. So they were regarding that they have two countries that they are controlling here in Africa. So on this, now, because as I said, this federation, they didn't tell, there was no agreement between people in northern Rhodesia and people in Nyasaland. There was no agreement. It was a decision that was made by themselves, just for the sake of controlling the power, according to their plan, especially those white who are staying in Zimbabwe. So people here and there in Nyasaland and northern Rhodesia, they were scared, like they didn't like it. They start opposing the federation because they didn't want, because actually the federation was just imposed on them, and people, they were scared. They feared that it would place them under political and economic dominance of the white minority in southern Rhodesia. You see, so to be honest, this is how it was happening like this. They were scared like that. Let me finish. So because of that, they started opposing it. Like they didn't like that federation. They wanted that federation to end because everything that were happening, like now the capital city of this federation was Harare. You see, so all the development that were happening in this country, in this nation of Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland, all the development were only happening in Harare as the capital city, and all people who were working, they were getting them from. Uh, let me continue. Let me continue. I'm getting them. Getting them. So that was the reason why people they didn't like it. That was number one. The reason why Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland ended in 10 years. But that was not the only reason. The second reason, it was an equal power structure. An equal power structure. You know, as I explained, that white people, they made this plan and they made this plan based on their benefits. Based on their benefits. So they structured the power in the way that is going to benefit them, not to benefit those people in Rhodesia or Nyasaland. No, it was based on them, and this power it was only benefiting Southern Rhodesia, not Northern Rhodesia, not Nyasaland. It was only based on Southern Rhodesia. Although it was called federation, power was not shared equally. You see, it was federation. You know, once it's a federation, the main thing we have to understand the word federation, why the government like the Russian Federation, Germany Federation, Federation of Germany, you know, what is happening like this? Why they put in a federation like this? Once you have a very big, vast country, very big country, for this government, for development, for the sake of development, to develop this big country, you have to decentralize the power. So once you decentralize the power, it means on each region, you put a leader or a governance, an independent governance that is going to be dealing with only the development of that region. You see, so each region concentrates on their development of their region from one center. It means from one source of power. So it means, I don't know. For example, this I will use this middle finger sword. I will just use. Let me maybe do like this. See this. This is the government that is controlling the whole federation, the whole country. You see, is controlling the whole country. All right. So this country has some region. This region. So for example, we make like this is uh this is northern Rhodesia. Okay. Let us make like this. This is northern Rhodesia and this is Nyasaland. And this is the powerhouse, southern Rhodesia. Because it's a federation, it means on this region there's a government that is controlling the whole federation. You see, but there's a city mayor on this, and also here there's also a city mayor on this, just an example, and on this also it's a city mayor on this. So on each and every region, this mayor is concerning about the development of his region. This one also is concerning about the development of each of his region. They help. All of them they get help from the main government. You know, so these are small governors that are governing their region. You see, but the main government is the one. So once they need something here, they just say, we need this, we are lacking this, we are lacking this. The budget is made here and is distributed to this region. The decision is made here, is distributed to this region. I hope now you understand me. So this is the federation. So while we are there, on this federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland, the power was not, as I said, the power was not shared equally. Like the way you see me, I have explained. So Southern Rhodesia has the most wealth, infrastructure, and political power. Southern Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe. You see? So it means instead of this wealth to be shared equally to Nyasaland, Northern Rhodesia, and Southern Rhodesia, it was not like that. The wealth was only concentrating on only one region, which was called Southern Rhodesia. Even if it comes to infrastructure, instead of developing in all these regions, they were only developing Southern Rhodesia. This is the main point here, that an equal power structure. That is point number one. Point number two, white centralized has this disproportionate influence. You understand? White central had I don't know why I write this English too strong, disproportionate influence, because that way this disproportionate influence, I think I use it because it carries a lot of things. That's why I decided to use this way, so that even if you are trying maybe to search it on dictionary, then you can have a full understanding on what this disproportionate influence means, like the meaning of it. You see, so and the Nyasaland remained poor and underdeveloped. So they were only concerning on Southern Rhodesia and Northern Rhodesia. Nyasaland, they designed Nyasaland on this federation. They designed Nyasaland like this. They designed it since Nyasaland it doesn't have minerals. They decided this area is going to be for agriculture. So it means the only thing that they're going to be getting from Nyasaland is the raw material, raw goods that are going to be used in this region, like Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia. Because on this region, Southern Rhodesia, Northern Rhodesia, is where they put all these industries. Like that, they can process all these raw material agricultural goods. So it means if they put those industries in Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia, it means people who are living in Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia, these people, they'll be working in these industries. You see? So it means the source of their jobs they'll be getting through industry. They'll be working in this industry. So what about the Nyasaland, which is now Malawi? And because they designed Malawi, they designed Nyasaland, like as I said, is a source of raw materials. They'll be getting materials from Nyasaland and processing in Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia. And what about those people there? Those people that will be the one doing this farming, planting. This is why. So these Nyasas will be responsible for farming, providing cheap labor, yeah, and and the Nyasas, they'll be, as I said, they'll be providing cheap labor. These cheap labor, they'll be working in mining. As I said, they designed the Nyasaland like this. The Nyasas, they'll be responsible for providing raw material. If we say raw material, something unprocessed. If you plant goods, you harvest, those are raw materials. Where they say rice, it's just a raw material. If you mine, if you are doing mining, those are raw materials. So who are the people will be working on those raw materials. Because if you start working on the raw materials, it means you will be working in industries. So they make like Southern Rhodesia people, they will be working in processing the raw materials that they're getting from mining and agriculture. So where is this mining coming from? They're coming from within Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia. Where the other raw material coming from? They're coming from Nyasaland. And who are providing cheap labor in this federation are the Nyasas that are responsible for providing cheap labor to produce raw material. So these raw goods, if they are responsible for these raw goods, where are we going to get these raw goods? We are going to get raw goods through agriculture right there in Nyasaland and in mining. So since they're providing cheap labor, it means these Nyasas are the one responsible for working in mines. So this is the reason you see that you find more Malawians are in Zimbabwe and Zambia. Mostly in Zimbabwe, because by then Zimbabwe was the one having, it's like it was the second from South Africa having a lot of minerals. So most white people, they were staying in Southern Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe right now. So since Nyasaland is designed to provide cheap labor, people were moving from Nyasaland to come to Zimbabwe to work in mining. I hope you understand me there. I'm going to get to another point. So Nyasaland were remained poor because of this. Nyasaland were remaining poor. They were not developing. People were getting poor and poor. They were working in this agriculture, in agriculture. How you waste a lot of times and you have to wait to harvest maybe for 3 months or 2 months. It means you are staying at home without getting anything. How are you going to develop? You can't. How are you going to create wealth or get rich? You can't. So people in Nyasas, they were getting poor and poor. Even those people who are working mining in Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia, those money, it was not enough. It was not providing for development. You see, so many Nyasas saw the federation as a system to extract labor and resources. That was the only thing, not to improve their lives. You see, so this is the second reason why most people in Nyasaland, they were opposing the federation. You see, that is point number 2. And number 3, it was the rise of African nationalism. Since these people, they were struggling, it's like once you are struggling, you are facing every day, you are facing the same problem. I'm facing the same problem. Let's say my clan career is facing problem. You find that the same problem that I'm facing, the other clan are also facing the same problem. So it means you people, you have a common problem. You start uniting, becoming together. You see, you start understanding each other. So through these problems that these people they were facing, there's one big thing that it was rising, which is called the rise of African nationalism. So it means it was uniting, it was making people now to make a nation. I will elaborate, let me just read. I will just say Africa. Across Africa, independence movement were growing. It was only not in Southern Rhodesia, not in Nyasaland or Northern Rhodesia. It was not only these areas that was happening, because Africa was colonized. Yeah, so leaders like Hastings Kamuzu Banda in Nyasaland and Kenneth Kaunda in Zimbabwe, in Northern Rhodesia, which is Zambia, pushed strongly for self-rule. So it means Hastings Kamuzu Banda start fighting that Nyasaland has to stand on its own, because this federation is not improving people's rights. It's making people to suffer more and more. So we need Nyasaland to stand on its own. And also Kenneth Kaunda was also singing the same song. We need Northern Rhodesia to stand on its own. As I said, most of the infrastructure, most of the waste development, all of it were happening in Southern Rhodesia, Zimbabwe. You see? Yeah. So mass protest. So there was a lot of protest, mass protest, political organizing, like, you know. So with all this international pressure, this, yeah, every day you are facing demonstration against your government. This, it was like it was difficult for for federation to sustain, like to keep on going because of the pressure from these countries, especially in Nyasaland and Northern Rhodesia, Malawi and Zambia, because Zimbabwe was just free, they were benefiting. You see? And also, they said, not said, the fourth reason why the federation was finished is because Britain changed their course. This one is favoring. By the early 1960s, Britain increasingly accepted that colonialism, colonial federation without majority African support could not last. See, could not last. The federation was dissolved in 1963. So it means it lasted only for 10 years. Because of all the pressure that they were facing, as I have explained, then Britain decided, like, they have to change their course. Like, this way that we have taken, it's not gonna work. This colonial federation, it's not gonna work. They have to change now to include the Africans, like Hastings Kamuzu Banda, Kenneth Kaunda. They have to include in the government. This is how now the government changed. Now Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda became a prime minister of Nyasaland. You see, he was the first prime minister. So we proceed with Nyasaland. We have explained the federation, how it was affecting Nyasaland, Malawi. You see, it was a design that they were designed to, I can say, to suffocate Nyasaland. You see, so because they designed like that, till now Malawi is still facing. I will talk with more. Let me proceed with my second topic, because I said why Dr. Kamuzu Banda was pushing too much. Of course, I explained it, but I have to go in detail. You see, so why did Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda oppose Rhodesia and Nyasaland? Of course, I already explained some of the reasons, but what were these main motives? You can say, we don't like it, it's a crowd, but what about the personal motives? So we have to know what was his main motives. Kamuzu Banda opposed it for several reasons. You see, according to him, he has a lot of reasons why he was opposing the federation. Point number one. He believed Nyasaland would become controlled by white centralized interests. I don't know if you understand him. He believed Nyasaland would become controlled by white centralized interests. So it means what we are trying to say is that he didn't want white to control Nyasaland. You see, if we say white centralized, it means those white who have just come here, they have just come here. Those are centralized. They're just staying there. You never know, maybe anytime they will leave. So he feared that Nyasaland would effectively be governed for the benefit of Southern Rhodesia minority. As you can see, it was already happening like that. So it means the Nyasaland people, they were being governed to benefit white people, because as I said, there was no white people who was living in Nyasaland. You see, but they were governed by the white people who were living in Zimbabwe. So if those people that are controlling Nyasaland, that are governing Nyasaland, it means even if they are collecting tax from Nyasaland, that tax is going to Zimbabwe, to Southern Rhodesia, where they are living. See, so what every activity that was happening in Nyasaland, it was benefiting the government that is settled in Southern Rhodesia. So Kamuzu, Dr. Kamuzu Banda, he feared that Nyasaland would effectively, because this federation was just starting, right? So, and it lasted only for 10 years. So what if this federation lasted maybe for 20 years, 60 years? How much impact it could have on people, especially on Nyasaland? Because there was no benefit that was going to Nyasaland. Nyasaland was there to provide cheap labor, instruct them, not to develop them, but to make them in a way that they have to be providing cheap labor, to work for people, to make other people get rich, to work for other people to make them rich. So this federation, they design it like to make Southern Rhodesia a developed, and the second one Northern Rhodesia to developed. Then once Southern Rhodesia is developed and Northern Rhodesia developed, then those people from Northern Rhodesia, from Nyasaland, are the ones that are coming to work in Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia. Because people in Southern Rhodesia are going to be rich, then who's going to work for them? So they were trying to keep like a reserve, a labor reserve. So Nyasaland was like a labor reserve where they can get cheap labor at any time they want to work for rich people in Zimbabwe and Zambia. So this is how this federation was affecting Nyasaland. I will go deep on this. You see, so yeah. So as I said, he feared that Nyasaland would be infected, would be governed by, for the benefit of Southern Rhodesia's white minority. And he saw federation as a path toward racial domination, not partnership. Because if you see, Nyasaland was also a very big land, a country on its own. Of course, by then it was not yet a country, but yeah, you could see that they were also deserving. They were more, So it's like they were segregating. As I said, there's no white centrals that was living in Nyasaland. It's only in Zimbabwe and in Northern Rhodesia, Zambia. It's where whites were living. So it means there was already a racial segregation. It means they would say, not they would. It means it was like, these ones are black. As you are special or white. You see, I don't want to put it that way, but it was like that. We all know that racism was too much by then. We all know. So it was something not like a partnership. Of course, after they put him as a prime minister, but still he was feeling like this is just encouraging racial dominance. Like, because now you are white, you have to be dominating us. You see? So he was scared of that. That was point number 2. He believed that Nyasaland, that was point number 1. We believe that Nyasaland would become controlled by white centralist interests. That was point number 1 that I just explained. Point number 2 that he didn't want. Why didn't he wanted? He was opposing Rhodesia and Nyasaland. Because Nyasaland was not benefiting fairly, as I have already explained. Nyasaland was not benefiting fairly. Nyasaland contributed labor and resources but remained economically neglected. Many Malawians many Nyasas worked in mines, farms, and elsewhere, while local development lagged. You see, and he wanted full self-governance for Nyasa. This is what also he wanted. He wanted full self-governance for Nyasaland. Banda believed that Nyasaland should become an independent African-led nation. Not remain tied to Rhodesia's politics. And his slogan and political campaign centered on ending the federation. This is where he was centered for sure. You see? So we know now why Kamuzu was opposing the federation. We know the reason. And we know the reason why federation was really not good for Nyasaland. And why he was really right to oppose it, to end it. We have seen it based on the explanation that I've already explained. So, what we have to see, in all this that I've explained, it means there was a system that was created. There was a system that was created that was making the federation to run. You see, if we say a system is something that you cannot see, every government is a system. You see, it's like there's a coordination on how they run this government. So it's a system. So this federation also has a system. Like I said, they designed Nyasaland like it's where they can get cheap labor and get resources. It's people who are going to be cultivating or farming. It's people who need to work. But how will it promote people to start looking for those labor? So it means they have to create a system or an environment that is going to force people to come to it. Not by forcing them, but by themselves, by the situation that has been created, by the environment that has been created. It will make them to start looking for job. And that job, they will be desperate, like they will be put at a desperate situation where they will be forced, where there's cheap, they have to take it. They have to take that job. They were putting the Nyasas at a situation where whether you are lazy, you have to go to farm for you to eat. Because if you don't farm, then you have to work in minings or in these whites or in these rich people in northern Rhodesia and southern Rhodesia. If you don't farm. You see? But if you are working on these minings, then you don't need to farm. But if you don't want to farm and you don't want to work, then you don't want to live. You will die. So this is the situation, it's a system that they created. This is the environment that they created for Nyasaland. Like, to force them to this cheap labor. So it's something that they were designing not by force. Not everyone was seeing it. It's very people, and by then, not everyone was educated. Not everyone was educated to be able to see all this. Very few were educated, like this Kamuzu Banda. Very few were educated. But they have created this situation. How are they going to know? They will not know. They will feel like, okay, I think this is how life is. It's like this. So it means even they were teaching their children same thing. If you want to live, you can farm. That's what you can go to Southern Rhodesia or to Zambia or Zimbabwe, Southern Rhodesia or Northern Rhodesia to work in mining. You get money there. But that money, was it for development? No, it was for hand to mouth. It was not for development. It was just for survival. just to survive for the meantime. If you die, it means your family will struggle. You see? So this is how this is the system that they create. And one of the systems that they created, like especially for instructing labor, they created also, this one was open enough. They created a Tangata system. This Tangata system they created it's like the way the government they do. We are opening a job opportunity. Everyone who wants to work in mining in Zambia or Zimbabwe or South Africa, then they have to come to join this Tangata system and provide whatever it was necessary by then. Then yourself, just to hear that, it means you become happy. Yeah, finally I got the job. Without knowing, it's something that they wanted it to be happening like that. You see, so in you know that, okay, here we cannot work. Here in Nyasaland, we can't have industries. But we can only work on other countries, in other regions, in industries and work there, and it's fine. So it means what they were trying to do, they were also creating the environment where people, they don't even see the value of themselves, they don't see the value of their region, their country. This is the kind of mind they were creating. They were designing Nyasas like that. So once you hear that, we are taking you to work in minings in southern Rhodesia, you become very happy. Yeah, I get the job. Yeah, I'm going to work in mining without even knowing the consequences of this mining. Maybe this mining will collapse. You die there. You don't even see. You only see, I'm going to work. Because you are desperate, they will tell you will be getting paid for this. Imagine, you are mining gold. You are mining gold for someone who's going to make million, and himself is giving you 100. On that million that he's making, he's giving you 100 rand, just for example. And yourself, you get very happy with that 100 rand. But you have given him something that is more worth, and he only gives you 100 rand. This is how they were spoiling our people, our Nyasas, our Malawians. They were devaluing them like that, providing cheap labor with too much value and getting something that you can't even count. You see? So people, they were living like that, living like the Nyasa. So the federation used the centralized, there was the system centralized. It was not decentralized. Use centralized and colonial administrative and economic system. On this, let's say on the political system. Of course, some of this I already explained on how this system were working. You see? So maybe before I proceed, you can see how Nyasaland was programmed. For 10 years, 10 years is a lot to program someone. It's a lot, because if you want to program someone, it doesn't take too much. Like even your child. To make your child believe in you, it doesn't take even 4 years. It doesn't take even 3 years. The child that is 2 years, 1 year, you already know that this is my man. If he's acting like this, he's angry. If he acts like this, he's happy. A child, you already finish them, programming them. So what about 10 years? The whole country, every family in the country is designing their children to work in mining in another country. And those children, they grow up. 9 years, they see their father going. They become, hey, our father's going. Some of them, they don't even know their father. Some of them, their fathers were not even returning back because their mind, they collapsed on them. You see? So as these children grow, they have already been programmed. As they grow, they're also going to program their children. You see? So it means it needs a lot to change this cycle that has been created. It needs a lot. Let us go to their political system. British colonial administration remained. You see, after federation is finished, right? Has been collapsed. But the political system for this federation, for this British, it was still there. So it means Nyasaland, they tend to be Malawi, they were still using the same system. Northern Rhodesia, the federation is end, now it's Zambia, they're still using the same system. Southern Rhodesia, of course they were benefiting already, but they were still using the same system. So federation is finished, but political system is still remain the same. So British colonial administration remained. Key decisions were often made above Nyasaland's local institution. As I said, after federation was dissolved, Dr. Kamuzu Banda, the one who was fighting it, he became a prime minister of Nyasaland. It means there was someone above the Queen in England, UK, United Kingdom. It means Dr. Kamuzu Banda was not the final say. He was not having the final say. He was also receiving orders. Like this need to be done like this need to be done like this need to be done like this. Because they shared that power to him. So he can't just do whatever he wants. He has to keep on following orders so that he can run the country properly. But he's also learning governance. So, yeah, key decisions were often made above Nyasaland's local institution. So there was no institution that we could say that this institution is making decisions for Nyasaland. This created frustration and distrust towards centralized authority. Then system number 2, this system, it was economic system. Nyasaland functioned largely as a labor reserve, as I said. I'll keep repeating this. It's painful and it has affected Malawi a lot. There's a reason why I'm making this topic, especially this topic. So Malawi was functioning largely as a labor reserve, sending workers to mine farms in North Rhodesia and South Africa. I already mentioned it. A producer of agricultural commodities like tobacco, tea, rice, tomato, all this. That was the purpose of Nyas in this Rhodesia thing. Industries and infrastructure investment were limited compared with the Rhodesia. So it means they were not even there. Limited. It means they just wanted this. Maybe there were certain goods that I think these goods we can do here. The rest we can just here. Just for the sake of transportation, let us process this here. Just for the sake of transportation. But it was not designed, those industries, they were not designed to be in Nyasaland. Nyasaland was designed to provide the labor, cheap labor, and farming. Education system. Education system was also very, very poor. Education system, like it was, for special education access for Africans expanded slowly, but remained unequal. Why I said education was access for Africans. eh, for Africans expanded slowly, but it remained unequal. It's because the administration and the elite, if I say the elite, these white centrals, the ones that were controlling us, the education was often prepared for people for colonial bureaucracy. So every education that was given, if they know you are a black person or you are a Nyasa, they'll make sure they give you education that you know that, okay, for you to survive, you need to work in mining. For you to survive, you have to go to work in other countries' industry. For you to mine, you have to do farming. For you to be worth or to improve your life. So they were programming people for the future use. Those two black people. For colonial people, for white people, they were programming them to know that you are the superior, you are the superior. You have to make sure you are controlling this, you are the one, you are leaders. You are responsible for all these black people. So you have to make sure you get education so that you can do this leadership. You can see the difference, right? So the education system was provided like that. You see, instead, rather than for broader industrial development, instead of telling black people like this, Nyasa, like, as you are growing, you can open your own industry and process this. But they were not telling them like that. They were not teaching them like that. They were teaching them that, as you are growing, you get a job. You get education, and you people from Nyasa, you'll be working in mining in southern Rhodesia, northern Rhodesia. It's where you'll be working on those industries. You see, so people, your children and those elders are telling you, even your parents also, they are saying the same thing. What are you going to do, you as a child? You just feel, okay, this is right. Yeah, a good teacher. So something like that, where your life is affected. So how did this affect Malawi for a long term? How did this affect Malawi for a long term? Because Malawi was a victim of this. Very big victim. So some effects still influence Malawi till today. Let's say for economic and development, number one, that is point number one, how it affects Malawi in long term, especially in economic and development. Because Nyasaland was not industrialized, Malawi inherited it. You see, we inherited like that. There's no industry, no way. And our education system is based on agriculture and working on other people's country to develop other people. We get it like that. And that thing, you cannot change it today or tomorrow. We inherited it like that. So we inherited it, started teaching the same syllabus, while we are evolving slowly. Because Nyasaland, as I said, because Nyasaland was not industrialized, Malawi inherited it. Weak manufacturing, dependence on agriculture. All of you people, that Malawi is known for agriculture. If you find another people here, like here in SA, you find that, is there still good rice in Malawi? And some, they even mock us. They see us Malawian like we are stupid. Say most Achimwene, Abambo. There's too much Abambo. They use these names. They are not using this name to respect you. They are mocking you. They see you like a useless person because of the history. Because we are programmed to work in their houses, to work in their homes. We are programmed to be useless so that we can work and provide cheap labor. There's a lot of Malawian in Zimbabwe. Not like they just come there, like they come because of Tangata system. They come there because they were coming to work in mining. Limited transportation. There was no road network because they only providing labor. So why do they need to construct too much roads? What? Because there was no development that they wanted there. Then why do they need roads? So there was no transport network, no roads, no proper roads. That is now. That is point now. That is point. It's small point in economic underdevelopment. Things that we inherited. Poverty and resilience. Poverty and resilience on external aid. If I say resilience, I say something else. But poverty and I say reliance. Yeah, relying on external aid. Poverty and reliance on external aid. Till now, Malawi is still borrowing money. And we are asking ourselves, why are we struggling like this? Why are we still borrowing money from other countries? Why? These are the challenges that persist, that have been persisting, that are still there. But Malawi, they are strong, they are still fighting. So that was in economic and development, and Malawi is affected mostly in economy. So let us go to labor migration culture, because as I said, they were teaching people. It leads to a culture now. You see, it leads to labor migration culture. Like, oh, for me to work, I have to go south. For me to work, I have to go to northern Rhodesia. It becomes a culture in the country. It becomes a culture. Because as children, we believe in our parents. So if my grandma, he loves me, and my grandma, I know that he loves me, and my grandma is telling me that for you to make your life better, you have to go to South Africa to work there in mining or whatsoever. My grandma is telling me, or my grandfather is telling me, you have to go to Zimbabwe. I'm not gonna take that lightly. I will believe them that that is the way, and these people, they want me to be better. So it means I have to make sure to go to South Africa or to go to Zimbabwe for me to survive. So that one has become a culture now. During colonial times, many Malawians left for work abroad, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and South Africa. Some they were proceeding UK and USA. That pattern still affects families and economic expectation today. This is not something that I'm just getting it from my head. It's something that is happening on daily basis. All of us were seeing it happening. Me, I'm just elaborating it and highlighting. Then, strong centralized government tradition. We also inherited it. It's still there. Colonial governance, later, Kamuzu Banda took it. Banda's own leadership, as I said, we also inherited this. You also start using the same, because you can't change the government overnight. You see, he inherited. I already explained this point. So Malawi institutions have sometimes struggled with decentralized and local empowerment. So, as I said, on these things, we have to evolve. Revolution doesn't take a single day. It takes small. It gets slowly. It evolves slowly. Even to change the education system, it has to go slowly. So the governance also was going slowly. You see? Yeah, but for national identity after that, for national identity built through resistance. After federation, for opposition to federation helped unify people. I already speak this. Unify people around the ideas of Malawi as its own nation. And in that sense, resistance to federation strengthened Malawi. Because I said this clan is facing the same problem, this clan is facing the same problem. Then all of them, they are united. We can do ourselves. We can decide it. It was lead to nationalism. It's due to nationalism. Yeah. So this federation was blocking African majority. It's benefited white central elites. It kept Nyasaland economically dependent and it dragged through independence. Through Malawi Congress Party, Banda mobilized resistance. After major protest and economic political pressure, Nyasaland gained internal self-government and became independent as a Malawi in 1964. So this is how Malawi became an independence and how Malawi is struggling. Maybe for summary for that federation, I made a summary for federation. So in summary, the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland was designed largely for British strategic and central economic interests. But many Africans, especially Kamuzu Banda, saw it as unfair and dangerous. This is just a summary for federation. It was really dangerous. So it was broken up. It was broken up because Africa rejected, especially Nyasaland rejected. Political inequality was severe. Nationalism was rising. Britain could no longer sustain it. For Malawi, the federation left a mixed legacy. Negative economic underdevelopment, dependency, centralized governance. Positive, stronger national identity and momentum toward independence. That is the only thing that we benefited from that federation. Only stronger national identity and momentum toward independence. That is the only thing that in Nyasaland, Malawi benefited from that federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. You see, and this is the reason we see Malawi facing a lot. Why Malawi is still facing too much certain economic and political challenges today. You see, that is what federation did to Malawi. I think I have to stop or one more. So, what can Malawi do now to shift from this consumption economy to a production economy? Malawi needs to start exporting raw tobacco, all these things. See, but for now, I think we can stop there. We can really stop. You see, so we have seen how this federation has affected most Malawians. It's very pity. It's very, very pity. You see, Malawi is struggling till now because of the something that they designed it. You see, but since they designed it as in this way, we can redesign it. Now, by then, everything was not in our hands. But right now, Malawi is politically independent, economically dependent. So since we are politically independent, we can be able to redesign ourselves. For this country to develop, we need to open up industries. Those industries that they were not there. They designed Nyasaland, they designed Malawi without any industry. Right? So for us now to improve, we have to open up industries. All those raw materials that we were exporting, we have to start processing within in the country to create value. Because we were transporting raw material and we are importing raw products. You see, yes, raw product, something that has value. So we export at low price, we import at a high price. So for us to improve, we need to open a lot of industry in our country. so that all these materials we can process within the country and export high value materials. We can design. And this thing, it's not only the government, it's for everyone. Everyone. Everyone who's listening this. As long if you're in Malawi and you are listening to this, it means you are also responsible for this. The purpose for us, Chance of Media podcast, to say this is to just open up your eyes and see what is happening. And once you know where the problem is coming from and why the reason we are on this mess, you know how to solve. And this problem we can only solve through innovation. Work hard here, inside here, smart here, be intelligent. You know, everything that you do, make sure it's toward developing the country, industry, open industry, agricultural. Make sure if you are doing agriculture, make sure those agricultural goods they go outside with a value. This is the main purpose. We know now the reason why Malawi is struggling. Malawi was designed to provide labor. This is the reason why we see ourselves, most of us who are poor, and all our neighbors that are rich. Because we ask, they designed those neighbors to get labor, cheap labor from us, as we are cheap laborers. But we can't be a cheap labor. We are the same. We're all people. We're also human. We also deserve our country to develop. So we know the problem. Let us industrialize innovation. Anything. If you are a carpenter, make sure you work properly on that category of yours. Make sure on whatever you are doing, you add value. Look good. Make sure all your products are in good quality. Add value in everything. Because of this, we are not able. We are becoming very nice. We are too nice. That even people, they step on us, we do nothing. Even on the time that we need to speak a word, where our word is necessary, we keep quiet. Then they step on us, we keep quiet. It's because of the heart that we are not pushing to be bad people, but we are saying this so that we can see value. Because right now, most of us, most Malawians, they don't see value on something. They don't see value on each other. They don't see value on their country. They don't see value on their resources. You see? So we have to open up our mind and start seeing value. Of course, our education is revolving. The country right now, Malawi, is at a turning point. We are not like before. We cannot change the history, but we can change the future. The history is where we can learn, but the future belongs to us. Malawi right now is at the turning point. Take any activity that is happening in the country. It will help. It will help. Thank you so much for watching Chance Fox Media podcast, where we actually, please subscribe, share, comment, and stay connected. More episodes like this one. More episodes like this one coming soon. Cheers.